I perfectly remember 2008 and our preparations for the NATO summit with the President Kaczyński. I served as his Secretary of State, and I also served at that time as the chairman of the Presidential Committee, Poland-Georgia and Poland-Ukraine. And it was my capacity and my task to organize also the famous visit of President Kaczyński together with President Yushchenko to Tbilisi in 2008, together with President Adamkus and Prime Minister of Latvia, when actually Tbilisi were almost under siege of Russian army. But before that, summit in Bucharest happened. After a couple of months, Russia invaded Georgia. My recollection is, I remember it was the first time when I had the opportunity to hear Mr. Putin in Russian in a very close, relatively close room, in which he delivered his famous, unpublished at that time, speech about the future of Ukraine. I was listening this speech live in Russian, which is my second language after Polish, so without translation. And I was shocked, not only by the substance, what he said, you all remember. He first time officially questioned the государственность, statehood of Ukraine. He questioned the fact that Ukraine is a state and is a nation. But I was honestly deeply shocked not only by the substance of his speech, but about this coldness and about the style he delivered his speech. And it was around the time when John McCain famously said, asked what he is seeing in the Putin's eyes. John McCain answered, I see 3 letters, KGB. And that's exactly what we can repeat today. Those 3 letters, KGB, we see still in his eyes. But when we are talking about the original sin you asked about, I would honestly not go back to the NATO summit in Bucharest. I will go back to Yalta. It was the original sin after the Second World War, in which my grandfather, I'm sorry to say so bluntly, my grandfather, who served in the British Army, was sold to Stalin. He was actually expelled from Scotland. He returned to Poland and immediately on the Polish border was arrested by the communist secret police for serving in the British Army. Until today, I'm keeping his soldier's book in which he has unpaid 3 months by His Majesty the King for fighting for UK and United States during the Second World War. And we've been sold, we, Poles, Lithuanians, Ukrainians, we've been sold in Yalta. And that's the original sin. That's the original sin. And I think that I love the description of an idiot made by Einstein. Einstein said, when you are doing the same and expecting the different results, you are an idiot. And I'm sorry to say, now I can tell it, we are idiots as Western world, because we are repeating the same mistakes towards Russia and expecting different results. It will not happen. If you are giving them the hand, they will eat you. They will eat you. It's their nature. Point. If you want to change the situation, we want to change Russia from inside. And this is, I think, the very important lessons we should draw from the history. First of all, we have to defeat them on the front. But secondly, we have to actively fight inside Russia. They are accusing us all the time of having the ideological centers which are directed against the Russian values, that we are plotting to destroy the great Russian society, which is obviously not true. But what we are not doing doing exactly what Putin is doing against our societies. We saw it. I saw it in my country. I saw it in neighboring Germany during the last European elections. Huge Russian influence over political process in United States and in Europe. Why we are not reacting? They are trying to destroy us from inside using our democratic institutions. And I call to the Western leaders not only to talk but also to act. But first, we should start with something we never did during this war. We should present a political plan after the war. The people on front and the people in the whole Western Hemisphere who are supporting Ukraine, they all should know what will be, how the world will look like after the winning in this war. How Ukraine's border will be. We should guarantee that it will be a constitutional border of Ukraine. We should also, I think, put and condition. It's not only the returning of the Russian army into the Russian territory, but also a free election in Russia and in Belarus. Why we shouldn't put this as our one of our goals in this war? Free election for Russians and free election for Belarusians. It will show that we are not Russophobes, because we are fighting also for giving the freedom to the Russian people. And I'm expecting from the Western leaders today to give a real perspective for Ukrainian people, for the whole Western world. Why we are fighting today? Because when we are just fighting for stopping Russia, it is not enough. It is not enough, because stopping Russia today is just prolonging the next war, which will happen in 10 or 20 years. I think that we should defeat Russia today and create a new world, obviously under the leadership of Western Europe and the United States of America, because it's obvious it should look like that. But first, we should win this war. But without political plan behind this war, it will be just a simple military action. We should defeat Putin militarily and ideologically, which is as much important as a military defeat of Putin. Thank you.